Hello everyone. So the day after Rosh Hashanah marks the Fast of Gedalia, one of the minor fast days in the Jewish calendar year. The fast begins in the early morning at dawn and ends in the evening at dusk. So I want to talk a little bit about the Fast of Gedalia, and I think this is one of the most non-talked fast that there is out there, even though it's a minor fast, and people who are sick or women that gave birth or people that cannot fast are not obligated to fast. It's a minor fast, but it's a fast that we don't really talk about, and many people don't know why do we fast. Why do we fast this day? So it all starts with the destruction of the first temple 2,500 years ago, where the majority of the Jewish people left Israel. They were exiled, and the conquered Nebuchadnezzar later eased the harsh restriction and allowed some Jews to remain in the land of Israel. He even appointed a righteous man named Gedalia to administrate the territory. So gradually more Jews who escaped from the horrors of the war decided to come back to the land. And Gedalia was very realistic about the limitation of the Jewish sovereignty. He understood that for their own self-preservation, the Jews had to fully cooperate with the nation who had conquered their land. But unfortunately, there were many people who did not agree with his political views, and a Jewish man named Ishmael ben Netanya spored. He was very jealous and wanted Gedalia place, and he ignored the king of Babylon, and he decided to kill Gedalia. Of course, Gedalia knew about it. He found out that Ishmael wants to kill him, and he did not believe that a Jewish man foul Jew can do something like that, and he decided not to kill him. So in Rosh Hashanah, unfortunately, Ishmael came to Gedalia, and he killed Gedalia together with his soldiers. In the aftermath of Gedalia's murder, the Jews feared a reprisal from the king of Babylon, and they thought to flee to Egypt, yes, to save themselves. But since Egypt was a morally corrupt society, they were very afraid of what is going to happen to them there. So of course they turned to Jeremiah, who was the prophet in that time. And of course Jeremiah asked advice from Hashem. Hashem did not answer him up until Yom Kippur. It's not a coincidence that this fast actually happens in the 10 days of between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And of course, for an entire week, Jeremiah pleaded with Hashem for an answer, and finally on Yom Kippur he was answered, and he called the Jews and told them to stay in Israel and everything will be fine, and that God was planning to make the Babylonians act mercifully toward the Jews, and before long all the exiled Jews would be permitted to return to their own soil. But Jeremiah told them that if the Jews decided to flee to Egypt, the sword from which they were running will kill them there. Unfortunately, the prophet's words did not penetrate, and the people refused to believe. All the Jews remained in Israel, packed their bags, they went down to Egypt. They even kidnapped Jeremiah and took them with them, and the destruction was now complete. The land of Israel was completely barren. And guess what happened next? A few years later, Babylon conquered Egypt, and tens of thousands of Jewish exiles were completely wiped out. And the initial event, the murder of Gedalia, has been linked to the destruction of the Holy Temple. That's why we fast in these days, because it cost Jewish life and brought the end of the Jewish settlement in Israel for many years. The prophets therefore declared that the anniversary of this tragedy should be a day of fasting, and this day is the 3rd of Tishrei, the day immediately after Rosh Hashanah. We're learning a few lessons about this. That sometimes when the situation look hopeless, yes, Hashem is answering our prayers, but not always the way Hashem is answering our prayers is actually what we look for. But we need to learn from this, to learn that Hashem knows what He's doing, and He's He knows what is going to happen, and He's giving us the best the best answer, actually, even though the answer is not exactly what we hope for. And we need to learn to trust in Hashem with all our might, and to understand that He loves us and He wants our best. And even if the situation sometimes doesn't really look, very good, it's still the best, because Hashem decided that it has to be this way. I wish you all a meaningful fast, and hopefully these days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and this day will help us connect even more with Hashem, and we will have the memory to go into Yom Kippur with a white sheet, with starting anew in the new year, and that we may always see the best and the good in everything that Hashem does in our lives. I wish you a meaningful fast. Have a nice day.